Whether you're a casual or well-rounded enthusiast, catch up with news, reviews, and more from around the circles of pop culture with us. This is Centaku Media, the axis of anime, gaming, and other otaku interests. Hey everyone, what's up? This is Sanjo, your host of the Centaku Media podcast. This is episode 31 of the Centaku Media Journal, or season 3, episode 7 of the show, where we talk about our favorite subjects of anime, gaming, and everything else in between. So if that's something that you enjoy, if you enjoy every little thing about being geeky, then this is the place to be. And we are back from our mid-season break, and thank you for your patience. We had a lot to do while we were on hiatus. But actually, even by recording this, I still have a lot to do, and it looks like there's an end in sight, and most of it concerns cosplay endeavors. So I will talk briefly about this before we get into our show, but just a few announcements, as I like to do community announcements. So we do have a Discord server. We're going to talk a little bit of what's been going on the Discord server. So still a very small community, still growing, but we're still looking for new peeps that are looking to add to the conversation. So be sure to hit up centakumedia.com/discord. That will give you a invite link to the official Discord server for Centaku Media. But while we were off, we had our first Discovery Night event, and Discovery Night is basically a night where we share a specific interest with everyone in the server for those that want to know more about whatever it is that we enjoy the most, and if they are interested in it, then we show it to them. So we had our K-pop Discovery Night event, which was, I believe, on the 10th of May. Or no, it was the 11th. It was 11th. We had it on Wednesday, on the 11th. So I know it's probably a iffy time slot to put that in, but I figured, it will be a good way to introduce people if they, got off work and all that. But I hope the next one will be really good. If you missed it, we do have a playlist of what we showed during the presentation. It was in our Discord server in the AV room, and that's where we'll have our other audio-visual events in the future. So if you want to showcase an interest to everyone in the community, you are free to hit me up on the Discord server. I don't have my Discord ID on me. Besides, I don't have a number with me at the moment, but just hit up that Discord. You can find Sanjo-chan, and be sure to DM me with anything you would like to do for the server. Although, I will warn, actually, I had an episode of the Akari stream while we were off recorded about an incident that happened that should never happen again, which is called Yay or Nay Discord directory. So be sure to check out that episode if you missed it. But basically, some of the DMs I'll receive on Discord, it might be like someone pitching a graphic design or NFT, so very high chance that I will ignore those if I get sent those. But if it's anything wanting to do with a collab or anything to provide relevant content to Centaku Media, then I'm all for it and I'm all ears, so be sure to hit that my way. Also, we do have a Twitch channel, so we started streaming Yakuza 0 beginning in May, and I'm so excited that we finally get to play it. And there's a little trivia: we were actually going to play Yakuza 0 right after we finished playing Shenmue 3 last year, which was, I think, about a year ago, coming up soon. But I ended up playing Persona 5 instead, which ended up until the end of December. And then we played Breath of the Wild, which was the game we finally completed. So, we finally finished Breath of the Wild that we've been playing since the beginning of January, and then we finished it at the end of April. So, good time. So, Yakuza 0, we're, as of recording this, we are parts 5 deep into the gameplay of it. So, we're also in chapter 5 as of recording this too. So, there's a lot to, still more ground to cover, and everything is getting interesting as far as the story goes. So, we hope that you'll join us on our Twitch channel. We also changed our stream time as well, so we now stream, we still have Thursday and Fridays as our stream days, but instead of 9 p.m. we stream at 5 p.m. So you can catch us a lot earlier before it's time for bed, and that actually works out for us as well too. So also, Anything Goes Day is on Sundays now instead of Saturdays, which is still 1 p.m. But we are also still playing Brave Fencer Musashi, and we are finally on the last chapter. And once we finish that, we can go back to our regularly scheduled program of variety gaming. So, as for the game, the next game after Yakuza Zero, it might be Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, but I'm not sure. It might change. I have like, at least maybe a couple, almost, well, a dozen and a half games on my backlog, which is what we're going through. So we'll see what happens after we're done with Yakuza Zero. But also, just moving forward to what I'm been working on. So I've been working on a cosplay prop or props for an upcoming convention, which is MomoCon. And by the time you hear this episode, it will be the day before the first day of MomoCon, which is going to be on May 26th through the 29th. It's a 4-day con held on Memorial Day weekend in Atlanta, Georgia. So if you are going there, maybe I'll see you there. But I bought a costume. And normally I would make it, but considering the circumstances, I would say, you know what, I'm going to treat myself and buy it. But I'll be going as Alpha Olivier from Final Fantasy XIV, from the Shadowbringers era in particular. So we finally have the costume in, but doesn't come with well, I had the book in mind, so I'm making a summoner's book. Just I guess not a budget version of the summoner's book. But I also need to make the armor pieces as well. So he has pieces of armor on him as well. And as I speak, I can't tell you how much of it is done, but it's almost done. And I'm trying to meet a deadline, which I'm not going to reveal because it might not be that deadline I wanted. But it's coming along very nicely, and I will be posting pictures of it as soon as I'm done, which will be in our Discord server and on our Twitter. But on Discord in particular, we do have an interest roles channel now, and we only have two, which is cosplay and any-game OSTs. And obviously cosplay is self-explanatory, so if you are interested in cosplay, be sure to select that role if you are in the server, and you can see a channel where we talk about everything relating to cosplay and or anime or video game OSTs. So that is some other things we added to our Discord server as well. But that is all I have to talk about, and we are going to catch up on some old news that we've had from even before, well, we were recording the first half of season 3. And then eventually we're going to add some new stuff too, guys. I know it's kind of a lull anyway. I know a lot of interesting things happened, but since we're going to June, it's almost time for not E3, E3 month, not E3. And I say not E3 because E3 is actually not happening this year at all, like not even a digital version of it. So we're going to figure out what's going to happen during that time. And of course, I think Anime Expo is actually happening in person this year, so maybe things will be, as far as like coverage goes, a little better than last year. Because I know it was kind of, I guess, a bridge considering the circumstances. And they went, I think, through a paid format, but I think you only can donate a minimum of $5 just to see any of the events from Anime Expo. But Anime Expo, though, I'm hoping to go one day, but not this year, and probably not even next year, to be honest, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, that is all I got to talk about to kick off our mid-season premiere. So we are going to give it up to our sponsors first, and then we'll go back and talk about some anime gaming and entertainment news as well. So I will see you here in a little bit. Welcome back to our podcast, and to kick off this episode, we're going to talk about anime news, where we're going to provide you an update with the latest release information concerning the upcoming Dragon Ball Super movie Superhero. And for those out of the loop, it was supposed to be released already back in April, to be exact, but it was actually postponed on behalf of Toei Animation due to the hacking incident back in February, March, I believe. So a lot of things relating to Toei were delayed, like including One Piece. So I think the One Piece was delayed by a few weeks, and because of that, this Dragon Ball Super movie got delayed as well. So yeah, it was supposed to come out in April in Japan, I believe, and then of course we would have gotten it soon after, at least maybe sometime in May. But we finally got a new release date, at least for Japan, and that is June 11th. So June 11th is when you can watch Dragon Ball Super Superhero in Japan, or at least divulge any information, any spoilers that is concerning the movie on that date. But for those that want to wait and watch it outside of Japan, it is coming. It will be this summer, but it looks like it might be in July, late June, early July. So it won't be too much longer before everyone else is able to see it. And also, Crunchyroll is going to be behind the promotions for the movie in North America. So, for those out of the loop, you remember that earlier this year, Funimation and Crunchyroll finally completed a merger. So, a lot of titles that were under Funimation are now under Crunchyroll. So, all you need is a Crunchyroll subscription to watch the majority of the content that is under Funimation, except for like any simulcast. So I think like One Piece, My Hero Academia, you still had to like subscribe to Funimation streaming service, but otherwise you can just get a Crunchyroll subscription just to lower the cost. But yeah, Crunchyroll instead of Funimation will be promoting the movie, so this will be interesting. So I mean, it'll be different. That is. Um, but yeah, we do have some new trailers out for those that want to see more of the movie. And it looks like it's going to be very Gohan and Piccolo centric, which is everyone's been wishing for a long time, considering, well, Gohan in particular, because I feel like we deserve to see more of Gohan in particular, especially teamed up with Piccolo. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, we'll give you more details on when that release date is, and of course for the trailers, we'll have it linked in the show notes on Centaku.com for this episode, but it's also in the description for this episode as well. So, moving on, our next story we're going to talk about an upcoming Dr. Stone anime special that is focused on a specific character. And if you watch exclusively the Dr. Stone anime, you probably don't know who this character is, for likely. So, I don't know either, so we're going to find out together. But I probably will have to read a manga since Dr. Stone, the manga itself, the story in particular, or rather in its entirety, is over. So, back during the Anime Japan Expo, back in March, they revealed details of a previously announced Dr. Stone anime special that involves RYUSEI, and it is set to premiere on Japanese TV in July of 2022. And the character design for the character in question, RYUSEI, was released, which, of course, he looks, not to spoil it, but he almost looks like the other characters within Dr. Stone, at least in the Village of Knowledge. Shoot, it escapes me a little bit. Whatever the village is called, that, Senku finds. No, basically like the co-founder of the village. So, that's like a reason why the characters look the way they do, but it's kind of a spoiler. So, I mean, like all the characters look the same. They had the blonde hair, brown eyes. But yeah, there's a reason for that. But we'll go into it another time. But, for those that are curious as to when, there's no specific date, rather, for the RYUSEI special. Also, season 3 is on the way for Dr. Stone. I know it's been like a year, almost a year and a half, I think, since season 2. But it is slated for a 2023 release. And of course, you can watch the first 2 seasons on Crunchyroll as well. So, if you are excited about Dr. Stone, there you go. So, yes, Dr. Stone ended, I believe, in November, I believe. But yeah, it's over. I don't know how many chapters it's amassed. It's probably at least a little over 100. And even before they released the climax, they delayed it for like a few weeks so that way they can get the story right. Because they actually touch on the subject of science, and is what I really like about this. Like, it takes me back to reading and watching Full Metal Alchemist, and like I would totally recommend it for those that are looking for something new, especially since it's a Shonen Jump show as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to what season 3 awaits. But I might go ahead and read the manga and jump ahead and I won't spoil it if I do end up jumping ahead. So, but yeah, so there's more Doctor Stone to check out in the very near future. So our last part of our anime news, we're going to talk about more news that came out from the Anime Japan 22 Expo. And this is from Warner Brothers Japan, and I guess in a way Netflix. So if you're wanting more episodes of Part 6 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I don't know why I almost said Dr. Stone, wow. But JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 6 Stone Ocean is on Netflix, and that came out back in December. But if you want to see more parts, part 2 of that will be coming out this fall on Netflix worldwide. And the anime will also air on Japanese television this year. And there's also a new video and a visual that came out during the presentation. And in case you're curious how many episodes this covers episodes 13 to 24. And is that really all the episodes are going to be planning? By the way, don't hurt me, but I haven't caught up with even first season of Doctor Stone. I think, not Doctor Stone, gosh. I guess I have to watch Doctor Stone. I guess in case I keep saying Stone Ocean, Doctor Stone, that's the issue I'm having. But Stone Ocean or just JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Oh my gosh. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I'm still on first season. I think I'm at episode 20. But I'm taking my time with it. I'm kind of like burnt out watching anime now since I got so much going on. But that's gonna be cleared up soon since I'm working on a cosplay, right? So with MomoCon on the way, I gotta get that out of the way, and then I can finally relax for at least a couple more months until AWA. But yes, so yes, so more JoJo's Bizarre Adventure coming this fall. This has been quite a bit since the story was posted, but there hasn't been any more information since. But if you're wanting to know when more JoJo's Bizarre Adventure comes out, then now you know at least an estimate of when it will come out. So that is it for our anime news, and now we're gonna move on to our gaming news segment. Welcome back to the show. We are gonna go into gaming news, and we got one that's actually very important to talk about on the I guess recent events. I don't know how you put it, but Overwatch. It concerns Overwatch 2 details, and I know as of recording this, or rather while we were on break, they opened up beta for Overwatch 2, and the details for that, or rather how to get into it back at the time, was to either sign up via email to get into the Overwatch 2 beta if you were a PC player, or you can watch participating streamers in the Overwatch community, and I think in particular it was the Overwatch League, because I think they made a comeback recently. So I think that promotion is over as recording this, and I was curious. I actually had interest in trying it out, but I just said I'm just gonna wait until later, because I think there's more beta on the way for Overwatch 2. I saw a few streams where people were playing Overwatch 2, and it's basically the same thing as you expect, but you get more characters in two different modes. So, like, why couldn't they just basically revamp the original Overwatch, right? But I don't know. I'm sure Jeff Kaplan has some other things in mind, but so just so you all know, he left the company, I believe, last January, right before all the drama with Blizzard went down concerning their interesting ethics decisions. So yeah, you know how that went, and we talked quite a bit about it. Probably, I feel like we didn't talk about it enough, but it's Blizzard. I don't know what's gonna become of them, and also some other things that we didn't talk about concerning Blizzard, that they're apparently being bought by Microsoft. So yeah, but anyway, the biggest thing we want to talk about concerning Overwatch is the inclusion of one particular hero that's been asked for a very long time since Overwatch came out. But there have been games such as Apex Legends and Valorant that have included the character of our dreams, especially as a black female Blurred, a geek. So, Sojourn is one of the new upcoming heroes in Overwatch 2, and she is a black female character. And this was like one of the biggest things that was asked of by other Overwatch fans, especially black female fans, and why it took so long when you have Apex Legends and Valorant with prominent black female characters. So there was an article from Kotaku that explained why it took them forever to put Sojourn in the game. So let's talk a little bit of what Kotaku has an article. We're gonna read like bits and pieces of it, but we're gonna leave it put it the show notes to the article if you want to check out the rest of it, because it also goes back to the Furge as well for some cross explanation as well. So Sojourn's real name is Vivian Chase. She's also Black Canadian as well, and she was teased back in 2016 during the second animated short called Recall. Sojourn was posed as an original member of the Overwatch strike team before it got disbanded following the Omnic crisis. And fans got their first glimpse of Sojourn on Winston's monitor when he used his AI computer to send a call out to other Overwatch members to join his cause. Although Overwatch has garnered a reputation for having a wide cast of characters such as a giant gorilla armed with a Tesla coil and a hamster who pilots a mech ball, of course there's been a very obvious absence of a black female character, and no, we're not counting Orisa. So Orisa, just so you know, Orisa's actually a robot, but it's actually designed and operated by a I don't know how old she is. I think she's like 16 or 12, but she is also a black female character, but you don't see a whole lot of her, so Orisa doesn't count. But after 6 years of waiting, the trailer shows us how she plays in Overwatch 2. And Sojourn is a damage dealing character who doubles both as a hit scan character and a projectile character. Kind of similar to, I guess, in a way, kind of similar to Soldier 76, but in a way, she has high mobility. And quote from the article, utilizing a Tom Cruise-esque Mission Impossible 2 power slide to maneuver around enemies and under shields. And the developers describe Sojourn's ultimate overclock as if Genji's Dragon Blade ability used a gun instead of a sword. And as someone who's been on the receiving end of many Dragon Blades, they don't seem wrong, as the article states. Overclock takes a page out of Joe Valentine's book by blasting out a powerful beam from her railgun. And they apparently we got like bits and pieces of information concerning Jeff Kaplan, who's a former director rather of Overwatch. And it said the frustration wasn't lost on him, who addressed fans' frustration during BlizzCon 2019. And at the time, he said her slow rollout was due to her playing as a larger part in Overwatch 2. And a quote from him said, "I personally feel like the right thing to do by the character is still deliver on that story and not just rush her out because the community's upset with us," Kaplan said in a 2019 interview with Kotaku as well. The real value of Overwatch inclusivity is the idea that we're open-minded and that we want everybody to feel welcome into the universe. And the result of that is diversity. I would hate for the diversity to feel ever pandering, just like we had a spreadsheet with a bunch of checkboxes. And even 3 years later, the same sentiment was echoed by the current dev team in an exclusive interview with the Furge. So I want to leave it at that for y'all to check out with the developer team and the rest of this article as well. But I am really excited for Sojourn, and I am actually burnt out on Overwatch. Like, I actually wanted to play the original one, but I'm like, all that investment, and I feel like I should finish it up until Overwatch 2 comes out. But like, again, it does feel like it's just the same game. So like, when it comes out, like, I would have to wait until it's on sale, because I don't feel like paying full price for it. But I am excited to play a Sojourn, so that is definitely not quite a day one buy, but if I hadn't played Overwatch before, I would definitely probably have it a day one buy, or I don't know. But looking forward to what Overwatch 2 brings to the table, especially seeing Sojourn representing Black Girl Magic. So I'm looking forward, very, very looking forward to that. And I hope, as far as Overwatch 2 is concerned, just curious to see how it plays out. But that is it for our Overwatch story, and we're going to move on to our next story. Our next news story is actually exciting, especially for those that are really big fans of Dreamcast. Certain Dreamcast titles that we've been clamoring to see for years, and of course, Shenmue, that's already a done deal. We already had the third game in the series, but the game series in question are the ones that have been dormant for quite a while, and they have gotten remakes, but I think it's due time that we see a brand new game in the franchise. And those series in question is actually involving Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi. The thing is, the from the way they are talking about it, it might involve a certain fad that is highly frowned upon, and I don't know how they're going to pull it off considering the turn of events in the past few weeks, especially since we've been on break. And this is something that we actually don't really talk about on well, we probably talk about it in passing, but it's kind of something that we definitely try to avoid. And I'm pretty sure if you've heard this before, you probably know what we're talking about, or if you haven't, you probably know what we're talking about. But so I'll get into the story and just to see why it's kind of concerning. So back, I believe it was in April, March, that was reported by Kotaku concerning this. It was reported via Bloomberg that Sega is working on a secret super game, but they also classify it under a series of AAA games. But come to find out, they're actually reboots of Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi. And Crazy Taxi apparently is into a year in development with a release about a few years away. But considering the kind of game it was, why are you taking your time with it? But I'm guessing, Sega, I don't know. They not what they used to be. And, they're working on the Yakuza series. I think that's pretty much all they have now, really. But I mean, that's not a bad thing. Like, I started playing it, on our stream. So I'm guessing maybe that's where they put all their efforts into it. But anyway, we're not trying to shit on Yakuza at all. Like, I love Yakuza. But yeah, apparently it's a few years away. Yeah, considering Crazy Taxi was the original arcade game, and apparently there are two further unnamed game, and apparently one of them's an FPS game under the same umbrella as a super game. And they also use this as a label, but not a single project. But also I will point out that House of the Dead, the first game in the series, has been re-released. It was a remake, HD remake of House of the Dead, and that is currently on the Switch. And I think that came out back in April, and I think it's also coming out for the PS4, or if it's already out, I don't know. But I don't know if that was actually one of the games they mentioned. But House of the Dead is also a game that I'm like really excited to see again. But also they said that Bloomberg also reported that Sega is looking into the Fortnite business model for both titles, aiming to, quote, develop recurring revenue sources and build online communities, end quote. Note here that Sega, and this is kind of where it gets a little worrisome, is on record previously as saying the Super Game project is a place the company may experiment with, you guessed it, NFTs, which is the plague of the internet right now. But they also said this. Bizarrely, amidst all the new titles, there's also this disclaimer. Both new games are in the early stages of creation, could still be cancelled. The people connected to the project said. So, yeah, that's definitely worrisome. But, of course, there's always alternatives. So we got that one game, Bomber Cyberpunk, that's have nothing to do with Sega, but of course you got Hideki Nagamine. I hope I pronounced that right, who was the composer of Jet Set Radio that's on the works, because Sega took way too freaking long to come out with another Jet Set Radio game, and also they haven't re-released Jet Set Radio Future, which is a game I missed out on playing on, so I really wish they do something about that. And of course, Crazy Taxi has been re-released. It's on Steam. Thing is, well, the fun of the game itself is still there, but they removed a lot of the music because, in the at least in the U.S. release, it had ads from Pizza Hut and some other corporate brands, and they also had music from The Offspring and some other one of those other groups in that genre from that era in the late '90s. So it's just generic music now, but I mean, the fun is still there. And of course, Jet Set Radio, you can also get that on Steam as well. But the fact that it's NFTs, like, what are they trying to pull? And just so you know, and this is something I actually watched recently in a video. Um, NFTs are non-fungible tokens, and apparently, just to make the best explanation of it in a short amount of time, is that they're basically an opportunity for artists to earn money. You can already like sell like prints and whatnot on like DeviantArt, right? But apparently, if you buy NFTs, you basically buying a profile picture to call your own because it's unique. So it's like buying a physical art piece, but you own basically an avatar for a ridiculous amount of money. But the thing is, they're also not very creative. Like, there's some actually really decent looking NFTs. Not that I would change my mind about buying one, but there's a video on YouTube which I'll have to remind myself to link in the show notes about why they look so ugly. So when you think of NFTs, you think about those ones they call the bored apes, and they are ugly. Like, oh my gosh, because most of the apes you see, the bored apes you see, they have really big teeth, and they always have some kind of inexplicable object on them, and they look mostly the same. They have the same side facing profile portrait, and then everything else is just ridiculous about it. And like, why? It's just so ugly, and people make a big deal about this, like it's like a life and death situation. And of course, apparently there's a few other people that are baking in on the same thing, because apparently there's another one called Lazy Lion, where it's basically the same thing. They have weird facial expressions, inexplicable objects and clothes and print designs on them. It's just ridiculous. But the video also dived into ones that actually look decent, but of course, again, that's not going to change anyone's minds about getting into them. But the idea, I think, a lot of the people that do put out these NFTs, I think they like randomly generating them. So if they like pick a number to generate this specific NFT, apparently, it gets a lot of people's attention, and it will like go for whatever how much they're offering for. And then when people buy it, they're like, "Look at me, I'm so cool. This is so cool." But also behind that is also the scam aspect of it too. And I think Floyd Mayweather in particular, he was called out for rug pulling with two, if not three NFT projects, because he said that if you buy this NFT, you also get an exclusive one-on-one dinner to a boxing match with Floyd Mayweather, and people didn't really get that offer. So yeah, that is why the gist of it, why NFTs are so bad. But also, this was also briefly touched upon in our episode of the Akari strain, yay or nay, Discord directories. We're having to promote our Discord server, which is located at centakumedia.com/Discord, by the way. Um, if you promote your Discord server or anything on these other Discord servers that offer, an outlet for creators to promote their content, you'll get a DM saying, "Hey, how you doing?" Really not going into details to why they're messaging you in the first place, but chances are it's going to be BS. And a couple of people did that same thing with that same greeting, and judging from their profile picture, it sounds like they're hawking NFTs. So I'm like, no. So that's an instant block for me. So I'm sorry, but so yes, I'll try to remember to link that video, and especially that episode of the Akari stream, if you haven't heard it yet. If you want to know more about Discord servers, but definitely for NFTs, be sure to check out that video from YouTube in the show notes. But that is it for the story about worrying story about whether uh Jet Set Radio will get a proper reboot that doesn't have NFTs involved. So, also speaking of NFTs, we do have, well, it's not really NFT related, but concerning fads that came out of nowhere that really have no like long-term plan or quality of life plan for that matter. We're going to talk about another franchise that's getting a multiverse treatment, which I don't know if that is going to pan out well at all. The next and last story of the gaming news segment, we're going to talk about a new digital fad that everyone's been talking about for the past, what, year? Or half a year or something? I don't know. But, so we talked a bit about NFTs in our previous segment concerning the whole Sega big budget titles deal that may or may not involve NFTs. So another thing that people are trying to like push as it's 2022 and during the stay at home era for obvious reasons and good reasons uh is the called multiverse era, which is something that Facebook has been pushing since they rebranded their parent company as just Meta. So uh our favorite android, Mr. Zuckerberg, he releases, I guess it's a 30-minute infomercial concerning the metaverse. Uh, the definition of metaverse, rather, or the concept, rather, the concept of the metaverse. I would say multiverse, but metaverse. Well, I guess it's, I don't know, depending on how you see it, could be multiverse, depending on what it is. But anyway, so Bandai Namco is actually wanting to get a piece of that metaverse pie. This is probably going to be a little confusing toward the segment, and I'll try to edit it out as much as possible. But I think it's funny as it is because I know some people are probably going to get that confused anyway. So why not? But Bandai Namco is going to jump on that metaverse bandwagon with the Gundam franchise, and I don't know if Gundam is the best one for this, but considering how Gundam is, it might work. But of course, Japan, they've had a track record when it comes to getting their gaming community involved, and that's something I'll explain probably in the show notes or in some form. But just to sum it up, Japan, when it comes to like getting engaged with gaming content on a huge scale compared to South Korea, where South Korea is like living and breathing gaming. You got like PC bongs or PC cafes on every corner. LOL or League of Legends and StarCraft are huge sports pastime in South Korea, where Japan is just like, oh, it's just gaming. Okay, so I mean, gaming, the way they take it, they are huge when it comes to, I guess, MMORPGs like Final Fantasy 14 and visual novels and I guess fighting games and JRPGs. So that's all they pretty much. That's what you think of when you think of Japan, but South Korea, gaming, like the only thing there is just esports, really. But maybe Bandai Namco can get in on both of those aspects. So there's a new Gundam game coming out. I think it's in beta already, called Gundam. It's a Gundam Universe or something. That whole Gundam Overwatch thing that we talked a bit about quite a while ago. I think it's going to be mentioned in here. But I'll tell you a bit about what this Gundam Metaverse project is all about from their press release back in March. And they this is an article from The Verge, and they do warn that there's a lot of jargon ahead. So hopefully it'll clear up some of my own confusion. Okay, so the new midterm plan will introduce a new means of connecting fans to entertainment properties by building a metaverse for each IP under Bandai Namco Group's portfolio, which is also utilized as a key part of the company's IP-based strategy. Development will begin with the creation of the Gundam Metaverse, where it will become a platform of opportunities for Gundam fans worldwide to come together to converse and connect in a variety of categories. This metaverse will steadily grow to build a solid foundation as the project moves forward into the future. First step for the metaverse is to create virtual communities for each category and to enable connections to the categories through use of the Bandai Namco ID. As for going into the article that was written by Furge, they said that the Gundam specific aspects that Bandai has in mind are planning to build out virtual communities for aspects of the fandom like video games, anime, music, and Gunpla or Gundam Plastics or the model kits as we all know and love. And they also said that these virtual communities will melt with the world of Gundam as the virtual spaces will be made in the form of space colonies, which is also kind of a cool concept there. But they also said that it will be connected to the Metaverse Space Hub under the name Side G. And they also have a diagram of how it would look like. So it's kind of like one of those. Shoot, what kind of diagram is that? But basically, you have Gundam in the center. On one corner, you have game, and you got the virtual community. So basically, you got all the important parts of Gundam. So you got the Gunpla, game, anime, and music. And within those four segments, you got virtual communities for each of those. So let's just say, like, I'm more into the Gundam anime, so definitely I would benefit from, I guess, going within the community of the Gundam anime. And of course, there's some music too, as well. So you get the idea. So it's basically a marketing thing, all that good stuff, I guess. But it said the first of these, for the Side G colonies will be focused around Gunpla, which is of course their biggest uh aspect of the Gundam franchise. And they said that various Gunpla related experiences will be made available in the virtual world. And they're also planning an eSports themed colony for 2023. They also basically sum up that the communities will seem there'll be interesting virtual spaces to nerd out about all things Gundam, which obviously they also added some other content from Bandai Namco's press release. In the near future, Bandai Namco Group will urge companies other than the Bandai Namco Group to join the Gundam market and allow general users to conduct C2C businesses using the Gundam brand in the form of user-generated content or UGC. By building a metaverse in which character rights are preserved and implementing this initiative, it expects that new Gundam businesses will be created and that this will lead to further expansion of the Gundam IP co-created with fans. The Gundam Metaverse project will build Side G by launching space colonies for each available category. Bandai Namco Group will create a new economic domain to promote C2C businesses with an invitation for other companies to join a virtual space where Gundam fans around the world can enjoy the virtual world together as part of their daily lives. And they also, the Furge, going back to their own take on it, they said that they don't reveal exactly what UGC is expected of, but they're hoping that it's not NFTs, which is also a thing too that I hope that it's not the thing. But as I'm talking about this, NFTs are kind of like, might not be a thing by the end of the year. So we'll see what happens. But there's a lot more that talks about the whole idea of the Metaverse, Gundam Metaverse project. So that will be in the show notes for y'all to check out. But just to sum it up, like, to me, like, as much as I love Gundam, good idea, but Metaverse, I'm still not sold on it personally, especially if it's going to be NFTs. And of course, as we just talked about NFTs, I'm like, eh. So I'll just stay in my own little Gundam bubble as I enjoy it. Like, I'll go to cons, go to the panels, and talk about Gundam, or share my own content that focus on Gundam. So yeah, so I'm curious as to what you all think about the whole Gundam metaverse. So be sure to let us know in our Discord or on Twitter or in the comments. Rather our contact form. Any way you want to reach out to us to express your opinion on this whole Gundam metaverse concept. And our last segment of the Centaku Media podcast, or the Centaku Media Journal, we are going to cover entertainment and interest news. And one of the things that we haven't talked about yet during some of the things that happened kind of during our break, right before our break, all that stuff. Because there's so much to talk about this past season that we didn't get a chance to talk about this in time. But just as a refresher, if you do know about this story, concerning K-pop, we're gonna talk about 21 to anyone. So for those new to K-pop, they were, I guess you call it second to third gen K-pop, a K-pop girl group, and of course they had hits such as "I Am the Best," and then their I think debut song was Fire or whatever, one of those songs. But basically, they were the sister group to Big Bang. So unlike uh Blackpink, though, Blackpink, they're still around, although there's rumors. There's always rumors about Blackpink disbanding, but the case for 21 is actually really interesting considering it happened so suddenly. So for those uh familiar with them, they disbanded about what, go 2016, I think. Yeah, 2016. They ended their activities and they made a debut in 2009, and they made a reunion performance at the Coachella, this past Coachella, which had been delayed a couple of times due to the pandemic, but now like everyone's talking about Coachella, but this one was the biggest one. So they talk about um the news, the news they took when rather the how they when the I can't speak English, I apologize. So this is what they had to say about their sudden disbandment, which was actually not informed to them directly. And of course, it was a shock to everyone. Obviously, this is the group, but to the fans as well. So, from YG Entertainment, back in May 2016, their exclusive contract with the label was over, and seeing as Minzy was no longer able to continue with the group, YG, along with the members, had decided to officially disband after many discussions. But also, CL revealed later that she found out about their disbandment through the media, just like 21's fans, but she was not informed about it. Informed about it beforehand. So, an interviewer asked her in a recent sit down, my colleague interviewed Mincy ages ago. She said she found out about the disbandment through the media. How did you find out? So CL revealed that she did too, and she was at a Thanksgiving dinner, and my phone blew up when they heard about it. And then back in April, following the Coachella performance, CL addressed the issue and why she explained uh, of the invite of Mincy Balmandara to perform at the performance. And she said that the reason I wanted to invite 21 to Coachella and perform it together is that I need to accomplish things on my bucket list. That way I won't have regrets. That's one way to do it. And she also acknowledged we left our fans without proper explanations. So they also said that this time around, 21 wanted to take the initiative to meet Black Checks on their own terms. CEO said that we teamed up by ourselves for our sake, not for someone else. When I say we, it includes myself, my team, and our fans. This is for us who made this team and the brand to anyone. For us, which is defined in my term, so it matters a lot to me. And lastly, it's my way to send my regards and my way to show my gratitude. So that's how I hope people remember us. It matters to get together with our own will and meet them. And we all follow our own paths and our own ways. We work with different agencies and we're not in the same place as us in the beginning, so I wanted to bring them some strength as well. So, what a reunion. So yeah, a lot of people were going crazy for it. And also I will add this, so as someone who is real well versed into K-pop, at least the previous generation of it before the whole TXT, whatever generation we're in now. I think we're in the fourth generation. I had to refresh myself. Actually, we need to do an episode of the podcast with a friend of ours, DJ Panda, or MC Panda rather, about what we think about the current generations of K-pop. But what I'm trying to say is that 21, they were not my favorite, band, but this is actually one that, right before they disbanded, they actually changed my opinion of them. Like, yeah, their songs changed my opinion of them. I guess their last full album they had is actually not bad, but they're like any of the earlier songs they had, especially Fire, is just like, eh. It's like you're trying too hard. I don't know. It just didn't really appeal to me at the time, but I'm guessing their concept matured a bit, so that stuck with me, and I said, okay, okay, guys, I like y'all. So I was a little disappointed when I heard that they disbanded. So, but this is really sweet that they actually got together to perform, not under YG, but as themselves. So that's really nice. But yeah, so it was nice to see them again, and also Park Bom, my friend MC Panna, they reflected that um that Park Bom, she actually has a little, I guess. Okay, so don't take this the wrong way, but she said that uh that they were big by K-pop standards. So when I say big, I meant like size wise. So size wise, you know how K-pop is when it comes to figures, like actual like body figures and stuff. So obesity or just any kind of little flap on your belly is kind of frowned upon in Korea. So you see mostly full figure or skinnier sizes out there. Um, but in this, I guess in Korean standard, K-pop standard, she's like full figured. But of course, if she was active again, she would have to probably lose about maybe 30 pounds just to meet that standard, if you know what I mean. So she was probably like maybe 150 pounds. I don't know, or less than that. I can't, just get a ballpark of how much she weighs. But she looks good for, herself. And also, just going back a little bit about what I meant by big. So, I guess as far as like overweight is concerned, so there is actually an idol, or was an idol group called Piggy Dolls. They made their debut back in the early 2010s, and they had not bad lineup of songs. They had a Trend, which was their debut song, and it was well received. But when they made their second mini album comeback, they actually had to lose weight because they were told to. And even when the name of the group, Piggy Dolls, they actually got rid of the original members and actually replaced them with girls that do not fit the idea of the group name. So they're basically skinny. So like, what's the point of that? So of course, after that they were like done. It's like, what were they thinking? But anyway, yes. So Park Bom, it was really good to see her again. She was actually my favorite out of 21. So I'm glad to see her again. Also, the picture in here, I think it was Dara. Yeah, Dara. So she's sporting what they call the Vegeta here, and that was like kind of one of the big things back in the day too, during the height of their careers, that she'll post on Twitter. I think this was before Instagram took everything by storm. She had posted pictures of her Vegeta here, and that's what she has in this picture I'm going to show. It's from the Koreaboo article, so that'll be in the show notes for you all to take a look at later on, which will be on our website. Next story we have, I gotta get through this. Well, okay, no, we can do this. Now, I find it funny because I'm browsing, I'm looking up Notion, which I got the stories I need to talk about saved up, and they got the thumbnail that was used in the original Koreaboo article of Baby Shark. So Baby Shark is actually what we're going to talk about, and if you need a refresher, yes, it's that Baby Shark song. Baby Shark, do 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 do. So this one's actually about the singer, and I say this because I'm reading the article, and the Baby Shark itself, it has like, the eyes are so big, it's like it's staring deep into my soul. So I'm like, I'm gonna like remove this picture while I read it. So this story we're gonna talk about concerning Baby Shark is the singer. So for those that need a refresher, the song came out in late 2015 by Pinkfong, which was I guess they're now a company. I guess the company that originated that started the Baby Shark song. Of course, and also just a little trivia, it is actually a Korean song. So we at first I thought it was American. At least to me, I thought it was American. Because I heard a song, and I heard the baby shark, and then people sustained for it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's all I need to know. So I knew that they were Asian, but I didn't know what the origin was. But now, actually, when we went to Korea back in 2019, we went to the whatchamacallit, the Coex Aquarium, and they actually played this song. I think they play a song every day at that place because there's this video they show, and they play that song. So of course it makes sense that they would play the song at the aquarium when we're talking about sharks. So yeah, now it makes sense. But anyway, the song was remade into English when it got popular, and was even the first video on YouTube to reach 10 billion views, which was hit back this past January of 2022. And they say that many parents globally call the song their hero, quote unquote, with its ability to quell angsty toddlers and crying babies. Of course, it'll have its opposite effect on, I guess, people older than that. But so the song, of course, was previously credited as just Pink Fong as artist. We don't know who the actual singer was, but at the time, this actual singer, she was 10 years old, and her name is Choi Bobe. So she went unnoticed for a long time, but until this year, 2022, she actually performed on a reality show called I Can See Your Voice. And she's now 18 years old, and she's actually a student at the Seoul Music High School, where, of course, she's taking that gift that she used during that brought her to popularity back when she was 10. And she performed on this show recently, and everyone was taken, by surprise. So basically, they were commenting on how young she was at the time, but now 18, she's like, oh, she did so good. But also, she sung How Far I'll Go, which is from the movie Moana that was released by Disney not too long ago. So everyone was taken by surprise, and it was actually pretty good. So be sure to check that video out. It is in the Korea booth video, and also I'll link that video in the show notes for those that want to check it out for themselves. The last story we have for our entertainment and interest segment concerns Spotify, and this is the I guess the aftermath of their launch in Korea. So I think at this point it's been like 1 year, maybe 2 years since they launched in Korea, because we did talk about it in our previous episodes of the podcast. But also, of course, they've had their share of issues as well. So last year they did have the issue where they hit a snag with their copyright, their copyright process rather. Basically, a lot of the songs that have been available on Spotify, K-pop wise, even before it launched in Korea, they were suddenly unavailable, and people were like, "Why?" Like even like some Monster X songs, and I think, Monster X maybe Fix. Anyone, I guess, anything along those labels, songs familiar with those labels, they weren't on Spotify anymore for about maybe a week and a half. I think Epic High too. I think they. I remember Tableau commenting about the whole situation, and they said this is why corporations are bad. The whole copyright thing is BS, basically. But they had long fixed that, so that is in the past. But this one, they're gonna talk about their performance so far in Korea itself, and not just worldwide, but in Korea since it's been out for a while. So they said that K-pop has been streamed around the world on an average of 8 billion times a month. But they also mentioned that this is a 27% increase on a monthly average, or 6.3 billion plays before they entered Korea. However, their domestic market shares are insignificant. And even though Spotify launched in February 2021, they are the 93rd country to use this platform, but however, their domestic market share is currently at. You want to take a guess? You want to take a guess at what their market share percentage is? So if you guessed 1%, you're correct, sadly. But they explain why this is the case. So according to the market share data released by Mobile Index, an app analysis company, Melon, which is I guess ranked 37.28% in market share. They ranked first in the domestic music streaming platform. And next we had Genie Music, which was 19.24%, YouTube Music 19.22%, and Flow, this is at FLO, at 13.31. And it was also followed by Naver Vibe, which was 4.8%, Kakao Music 3.5, Bugs 2.37, and then Spotify, which we have an actual figure of 1.46. They say that Spotify is the number one streaming music platform in the world, and with over 180 million paid subscribers, that's more than double of Apple Music's 80 million. And they say they provide services in 184 countries and has a global market share of 35%. But when Spotify started their domestic service in South Korea last year, they expected it would bring about a change in the domestic streaming market, but that's is not the case. Cause we got Genie. I think Melon's like the biggest one, to be honest. I think Mnet has their own unless they got out of that or rebranded it somehow. But they have some more analysis on the issue. They pointed out that there was a lack of securing domestic artists' music when the service first started. Definitely, yes. But at the time, Kakao Entertainment, Genie, Bugs, Danao Entertainment, and Dreamers companies stopped supplying music. The same problem with revenue distribution when Apple Music entered Korea in 2016 was being repeated, but now the problem has been resolved. They also said that the uncompetitive subscription plan is another possible reason for this. So in South Korea, there are only two types of rate plans, including VAT, can be selected. So you got the 10,900 won, or roughly $9.10 in US dollars. And they have the duo plan, which is 16,350 won, or 1365, which is about the same, extra, might be roughly $1 more than they mentioned in the US. So yes. In other countries, it is subdivided into students, individuals, duo, and families. Spotify also provides the ability to listen to music for free when viewing ads in other countries, which has contributed to the significant increase in its global share. However, this is not a thing in Korea. But they also mention it's because the domestic streaming royalties are 3 to 4 times higher than the United States. Interesting. So, they have a brief rundown of what K-netizens were talking about this issue. They say that more than the expensive subscription, the platform is so difficult to use, it's hard to even search for a Korean song. Another one said that they don't have the family subscription plan like other countries, and it's too expensive. They also said, I wish I could just lower the price, and they also mentioned that they have a free rate plan overseas, but they don't offer the option in Korea, and it's more expensive. It would be strange if they were doing well in Korea. They also mentioned that the various discount benefits of domestic music platforms using telecommunication plans are also a high barrier for Spotify. KT and LG U Plus's Genie Music and SK Telecom's Flow are supported by their parent company to provide discounts. A manager at a telecommunication company stated, when purchasing a smartphone, it is common to use an expensive plan for the first time to 6 months to receive public subsidies. At that time, there are many customers that use Genie Music or Flow, which are provided as free benefits and continue to use it even after it changes back to being a paid option. So, kind of similar to in the US, because I think, like, some carriers, they do offer, like, a 3-month plan, maybe a half-year plan to use, like, Spotify or stuff. But now that I think about it, I think now it's mostly, like, video streaming services. That kind of gives you an idea, like, like, what's going on? Because if I remember correctly, T-Mobile, they had an offer where you can get a year of Paramount Plus for, what, $10 or something like that, or for free or something like that. But, of course, you get charged for the yearly rate after it's done. But, yeah, so I think, but, of course, with Korea, definitely, like, you get that for free, and then you go back to using it for free. But, like, what's the point if you're not going to get a free option for Spotify? But they also mentioned, going back to finish off the article, they said that YouTube Music is another competitor for Spotify, and YouTube allows premium service users to use music for free, unlike other video services or OTTs such as Netflix and TVing. The combined use of music platforms is not high. YouTube Premium is popular among teens and young adults because they can watch videos without ads and use the music platform for free. But in response, Spotify stated the first year is just the start of Spotify's long journey. We will do our best to grow together with domestic and foreign artists in the Korean market by connecting Korean artists to the world. So a little story about Spotify, personal experience. So when Spotify first launched in the US, I was like all excited for it, that I'll be able to listen to music that I don't have yet. But their selection at the time was very lacking, of course. They had maybe a handful of K-pop songs, but you have plenty of US American artists to choose from. And I think at least several years ago, actually maybe a decade ago to be exact, I guess maybe the first few years of Spotify launching K-pop, they had these weird uploads, they're uploaded by a third party, where they just took a picture from some kind of fan site, like a live journal or something, and used it as album art. And they had songs that weren't even on the album, so it was very weird. But I think at that point they had to tighten up their procedures as far as getting songs made available on Spotify. This is also for J-pop too. J-pop is actually is a slow but sure process that J-pop is also being made available on Spotify. But yeah, Spotify, I think they still have a long way to go, because they actually songs I didn't expect them to have are actually on there now, especially the rare stuff, because I'm a sucker for old school obscure K-pop songs as well. I guess it wouldn't be considered K-pop, it'd just be Korean music, but anything that's not in the mainstream. So artist, for example, is I talked about him, and if I remember his name, but he did a song called ABCDEFG, which is the English translation of it, but it's Kanadara Mabasa, I think, if I got that right. But I'm gonna link that in the show notes, because DKDK TV did I think we talked about it in episode 2, but he was basically the 90s Street Dragon. That's the best way to describe him. But that's they have his discography on there, including his recent release. I think he released a single last year after there was renewed interest in him, that inspired the discussion of him. If I remember his name, I'm sorry, I don't have it on the top of his head. But yes, be sure to check that out in the show notes. I will. It is written on centakumedia.com for you to check that out. But yes, I'm so glad that Spotify is helping bridge the gap of songs that need to be heard, especially J-pop. So I also wrote an article about that, which will also be in the show notes as well, which is the J-pop secret society, and then why is it so hard to find J-pop on digital music platforms, especially when it comes to Johnny's, because oh my goodness, Johnny's, they're now they're slowly starting to become realizing that there's a market for this. There are definitely fans around the world that could benefit from our company, obviously. But unfortunately, that wasn't until Johnny Kitagawa. Johnny Kitagawa, he passed away back in 2020, which was one of the earlier things we talked about in the podcast. And of course, his death was received with mixed reviews. It is sad, but due to the fact that he had this stranglehold on the artists and the way he treated them supposedly, and then just his attitude about the digital market, it's well, serve some right. So, but no, definitely no. They have to have someone else run the company. So I think now that they've got a younger generation running a company, I think they're now starting to realize there's some potential into launching into the streaming market. And I think in Japan it's probably a little worse than Korea, of course, it's all over the place, but I think streaming music in Japan is probably a little iffy. But we'll talk about that another time. But I am ready to leave, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Centaku Media Journal. And if you hear this later than than attended for the release rather. And I'm sorry I can't English right now. I'm like trying to. I just had dinner and I was trying to get this out, and I know this episode may or may not have been recorded over a span of a few weeks. But thank you for your patience if you listen to this when it comes out. But until next time, be sure to check out our socials. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Centaku Media. Also, don't forget to check us out on our Discord, which is centakumedia.com/Discord, and also our YouTube channel, Centaku Chan. And we now have previous episodes of the Centaku Media Journal up, including the first half of season 3. So be sure to check that out and follow and like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And also we're on Twitch. We're currently playing Yakuza 0 on Thursdays and Fridays, which is now at 5 p.m. Eastern US time. So be sure to follow our channel, Centaku Media, to be notified when we go live. And I will see you all next time. And until then, so long.